I've got this, I printed out the PDF from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, their sourdough, and some of the characters didn't want to print out. Actually, a lot of them, which is kind of interesting. But I want to do this sourdough sesame crackers. I've got the start. I fed it this morning and last night, and I think I've got enough to double this. I'm going to turn on the oven to 400. I'm actually going to toast the sesame seeds. So, going to do that, get back to it. I've got the starter in here. I measured it. I only had half a cup. I thought I had more. I'm going to go ahead and add the oil because that's the next ingredient. Wants 2 tablespoons of oil. Need a teaspoon of salt. Should have probably done the salt first, but it just makes me have to clean up more. The shaker carries some around the lid, so I'm going to go a little scant on the salt. A little more than that, though. Okay. And then I need quarter cup sesame seeds, preferably unhulled. These are unhulled. I've just toasted them a little bit, give them a little more flavor. Probably didn't need to because it'll go in the oven. And it said a cup. Again, that's just reusing that container. It's not what it says it is on the. It's just the size that's the reason it's here. It says put in as much flour as it'll take. I'm going to get a spoon to do this. I did do more than what I needed. Measured the sesame seeds and have them in. And I put about 3/4 of the flour in. I'm going to try to get it all in. Again, for anybody that wants to go off on me about a metal spoon, go for it. But stainless steel isn't a reactive metal. It doesn't oxidize like, say, for example, silver or aluminum. So I shouldn't have to worry about that. I'm going to have to roll these out. I'll move it to the counter to do that. And I'm going to... Mom's got a really cool... it's actually a noodle roller, it's called. But this wants these crackers to be a 1/16 of an inch thick, and it actually has measurements. So I'm going to move over to the counter, put away the sesame seeds that I overdid, and see about getting this rolled out and everything. This is the noodle roller, and these are actually gauged for a 1/16 of an inch. It does several 4, 6, 10 millimeter, 1/6, 1/4, 3/8 of an inch. This is the 1/16, which is probably 1.5 millimeters. But I'm going to get this rolled out and then get them cut. I've got a pan here to do it, and then we'll get them in the oven. It just beeped that it was preheated. It says to cut these 1 by 2 inches and put them on a pan. I need to read if it needs to be greased because I haven't greased it if it does. And then poke them with a fork. I'll get right back to that after I read the instructions, and Bella really wants to go. Just something kind of interesting. I actually like these curved bladed knives. This was one that my mom had, and it was either her maternal or paternal grandparent that had it. And she said it was probably homemade. It looks fairly simple. This just could be homemade. But it's kind of interesting doing the sourdough recipes from the University of Alaska sourdough PDF. This knife, this shape knife, is actually, I believe, called an ukla, U-K-L-A, and it's something that the Inuit people had. But we found this yesterday going through some stuff, and I just thought it was kind of appropriate since I'm working on stuff from Alaska to show that, because the Inuit people are indigenous to Alaska. I did check the recipe. It is an ungreased pan. I'm not doing these any particular perfect shape. I'm just cutting them and putting them on. I will get the fork out before I put them in the oven. The oven is hot. Just for fun. By the way, this isn't sharp, but it will cut through something like this. Well, it looks like we've got about just under 3 minutes on the ones in the oven. I'm going to poke these with a fork, let that extra air cavity. It actually made considerably more than I thought it would. Just for the record, I've always wanted to make crackers. And this is the first time I've actually made any. So this is a first for me and for maybe you. I'm at Mom's, no one's here but me, and her dog was fussing. My dog was barking outside, talking to some neighbors that were walking by, and I ran out and forgot the crackers. So they probably went about 2 or 3 minutes long. But I just finished these. The others are out of the oven. I'm going to put these in. I'm going to move the camera over so I can show you the others, and we'll get back. I'm really a mess this morning. I still haven't cleaned up the stove, and I need to. There's the second one going in. Timer 8 minutes. Actually, I think they were fine at the 10 or so. These are the ones that I just took out. They look really good. I think I'm going to have to try one of these smaller ones. Maybe they needed more time because it's not really crisp. It's fairly soft still. Flavor is okay. Probably shouldn't have gone scant on the salt. It's got enough, but they need to dry a little more, in my opinion. I may put them back in for a few more minutes. We'll see how the others come out. The recipe said remove it to a wire rack to let it cool. So I did that. I still haven't got to cleaning up the top of the stove yet since I made a mess. I'm going to put out another cooling rack for the pan that's in because I will take them out. They taste pretty good. They're a very simple cracker. I'd eat them with a little bit of cheese without any problem. Some fruit and cheese and these. That would be a good light meal. This is the second batch. I just had another one of the smaller pieces like this from the first batch. And it's still, I don't know, this one's not as much, but it was a little bit more square. And it seemed still a little bit moist. And on this one and the last one, seemed a little bit low on the salt, but I'll maybe play with that a little bit. I really like making crackers. Sorry here, had to turn off the oven. But like, this is something I always wanted to do, and they had a real simple recipe, so I tried it, and can always make changes. But for now, I've made my first batch of crackers, and I brought you along with me. And like I said, the only thing I would maybe change about it would be the amount of time that it was in the oven. The flavor is good. My going scant on the salt, that was just personal choice. Probably wouldn't do that again because even though it has a salty flavor, it's just a kind of an aftertaste, not really the original flavor. I'm going to do this without the camera in my way, and we'll get back to something else some other time. I just had a thought while I was putting the pan to cool before I do the wash up the dishes. This was a little bit difficult to roll out because the way the rolling pin worked with those side pieces. Perhaps if I did it in a smaller piece to roll it out and got them thinner and a real consistent thin, and was more consistent with the size, maybe use a pizza cutter to get them cut, it would do better because the smaller, thinner, little broken edges seem much better than the bigger pieces that are in the center and are a little bit thicker. So that was just something I thought about. I think they're a good cracker. They just needed to be just a little bit more cooked, and I think that was something that it needed from too much, and maybe needed to sit a little bit longer between rolling them out and doing them and putting them in the oven. There are a lot of possibilities. I will make these again. I've actually got the sesame seeds here, probably almost quarter cup. I'm going to let these cool. I'll put them away probably in a container of some type, not a disposable but a reusable. And we will make these again another day. Maybe I'll do these and make some soup to go with them someday. I do have a soup planned sometime in the near future. Not sure exactly what it's going to be, but I'm planning to make some soup. Maybe make some more crackers in the meat at the same time. But there's the... Well, I've got the stovetop wiped down again. this small edge between the glass and the metal where they put some type of a seal, silicone or rubber or something, is a real pain to clean. Getting the surface clean is difficult. You have to have a special scrubber and a special cleaner, and I just do not like the top of this stove. Not to mention the fact that it gets almost hot enough to cook just from having the oven on. But these are the crackers. Sorry on a little rant there. They're pretty good. They, like I said, they just need, I think, a little more time or a little bit thinner. But I would definitely eat them, and actually I think I may, I haven't eaten yet today, and I may just have some slices of cheese and crackers and maybe a piece of fruit, an apple or a mandarin, or I don't know, maybe both. Have some slices of cheese here and a cutie. Just in case anybody's wondering, I use this Hickory Farm slicer to get those perfect slices of cheese. All real consistent thickness. Wonderful slicers. Almost as good as a wire. But for doing a hand thing, it's really good. You don't have to adjust the thickness. It's already set. I'm going to have a snack. We'll be back. Thanks for watching Perhaps Cooking. Feel free to share, give me a thumbs up, or subscribe.